Welcome once again, everyone, to Computer Science 111-30. This will be the last recording for the month of November. I have sent each participant of the class an email. Please respond to your email as soon as possible. That email was sent via Sakai. Today, I'm going to take the time to review Chapter 7. At least to explore the first chapter, the first section of Chapter 7, which is an array. Okay? Then I'm going to look at the programming project for Chapter 8, Chapter 7. I'm going to most likely look at the first two projects that are assigned there. And then I think this should be more than enough for the course, because you would have, in this case here, if I were to look at the syllabus, I'm going to open up the syllabus here. And according to our syllabus project in Chapter 7, we have project number 9 and project number 10. I would not worry with project 8 because I think having to select from the 10 projects was more than enough for each person. But we have to get on the ball with this and submit those projects just in case you may have some errors on them. Okay? So in Chapter 7 is in the text. And it begins on page 257 all the way to page 341, 344. So, all right. If I wanted to create, in this particular example, suppose you wanted to evaluate the exam grades for 30 students, as well as you want to find and calculate the average score so that you can display or show how participants have done for those students who did above average, those people who did average, and those who did below average, right? What we could do, we can have a variable that represents the names of the 30 students. That would be most likely a string variable. And we can also have a variable that represents a grade associated with each of the 30 people. Okay? So that would basically another variable, and most likely that would be double, defined as double, right? So what I can do, I can create a form, and on that form I'm going to have a button, and in the button I'm going to have an input message box that allows you to put in the name of a person and the grade associated with that person. And then I could simply have, I can just basically compute the average, and then I could display the average, so on and so forth. And it will look kind of long. It's going to be a lengthy program. If you look at this program here that's written on page 258, it's, the dots here means that you're going to have 29 lines basically, or 30 lines of dim statements and declaration statements, okay, assignment statements, all right, and it's going to be a very lengthy program. So what you can also do is that we can write this as a loop. But if you write this as a loop, what's going to happen? The name is going to change and the grade is going to change simultaneously. So we are not going to get the correct number or the correct grade associated with with each student. So we have what is called a storage mechanism, which it looks like a table, but it's not quite. It's a table made up of a single row. So in this particular variable that we have, we're going to have a column. We're going to have a single row table made up of 39 columns, okay? One row, 39 columns, and each column, think of it as a storage space for each student. So if you were to look in, like, for example, like Excel, let me just give you a quick example here. This is Excel. And in Excel, okay, I'm going to have this row. This is going to be called A1, okay? Let's just call this name student, okay? Student, S-T-U-D-N-T, student 0, right? Then this is going to be, if I keep going here all the way across, I can go all the way till 30. Well, I'm going to go up to 29. So if I started at 0, right, and I move all the way over to 30, what's going to happen? I'm going to have storage spaces. So this student, I'm going to have grade. I can do the same thing here. Okay, if I copy it, right? If I copy this, I'm going to call this grade 0, and then I drag it all over, or autofill it all the way over to 30, 29. So grade student 0 is going to be A1. Student grade 0 is going to be A2. B1 and B2, B1 and B2, C1 and C2. That's going to be the values. All right. So you're going to see that each cell is going to store a student's grade and the student associated with that grade. So we have a name for this. If you look here in the text, the name for such a variable is called or I should say an array variable. Okay, let's highlight this so that you can know what I'm talking about. When you get look at your book, it's going to become a little easier for you to read. Visual Basic provides a data structure called an array that lets us do what we have tried to accomplish in the loop above. The variable names similar to those in the loops will be students, so on and so forth, right? So we can put for grades, grade 0 would be this block, grade 2, and so on and so forth. All right. So in general, the declaration statement for an array variable is going to be we're going to use the dim statement. We're going to go array name. That's the name of the array, and we're going to enclose it with the length of that particular array. So, for example, in this case here, if I put 29, that means I'm going to start from 0, and 0 to 29 is going to be 30. Is going to be 30 values. If I started from 1, okay. If I started from 1, then I'll have to go to 30. But we typically start at 0. Okay. So then, students 29 is string. Then that means it's going to have 29 separate variables, right, in that array. Separate storage values, I should say, for 0 all the way up to 29. Okay? It declares a 30-element array needed for preceding program. So dim grades 29 as double, sets aside a portion of memory for the array grades, and assigns the default value to each element. Okay? All right. So what I can do now, I can start assigning values. So grade 0 is equal to 87, grade 1 is equal to 92. So that means grade 80, a grade of 87 was to the first student, a grade of 92 was to the second student, so on and so forth. All right? I would do the same thing that I would do with the typical variables, the single variables. I can assign them values. So if I had a list box, for example, if I go a list box and I say for I as integer equals 0 to 2, list box items I, it's going to list 0, 1, and 2. So that's what it's going to read here. It's going to have 92. Let's take a look at example number 1. The following program creates a string array consisting of the names of the first 4 Super Bowl winners. Figure 7.2 shows the array created by the program. Team names, Packers, Jets, yay, Chiefs, all right? So number from 4, I can create this form, and then they're going to ask you who won, the winning team, okay? So team 0 is equal to team 1, cheese, so on and so forth. So if you put in a number, in this case, if you put in a number and you run the program, you would get it. So it's an event. What's the event procedure associated with anytime you load or fill an array? In example 1, the array names will assign values in button who want to click event procedure. Each time the button is clicked, the values are reassigned to the array. This approach can be very inefficient, especially in programs with large arrays. All right, so how do we take care of that? Okay. We can do implicit, what is called an implicit array sizing and initialization. All this is going to be done for you. You don't really have to worry. You can put the values in. This is one way that you can do it here, right? I can implicit. This is what I can do. Highlighted. A dim array as data type equals, right? Value 0, value 1, right? That's the name. So you say dim, implicit, apply that it has. If you put in 4 different strings, then there's only 4 values, right? So you're going to say dim 3. Why? Because it's going to initialize at 0. And that's a common mistake most people are going to make when they start working with arrays. You know, you put the number 3, you're going to think there's only 3 values. You have to put 4 values because it starts at then. What I can also do, I can also create a text file. So there are 2 methods we have used to fill an array and find for small arrays. However, in practice, arrays can be quite large, but we are not going to work with large arrays. We're going to go work with very smaller ones. So you can use this, right? So I can, if I type the text in this format, it's called a text limited file, okay, where at the end of the word packers, you have to press the enter key to go to the next line. At the end of the word packers again, you press the enter key to go to the next line. At the end of the word jets, you press the enter key. So if you create this, this is going to be a typical text file, and you're going to give it an extension, okay, txt. And the format that you're going to use to read this file is right here, okay? That's what we can use. All right, let's take a look and see how we do this. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're going to say this is what you would type. Dim temp, right? This is the array. As string is equal to IO file dot read all lines, and this is the name of the file. So this here is an example of how we can use a text file to store our data. Okay? So it's going to read from that. In this case here, this text file is going to have 44 different values. Okay, because they're going to give you the list of the 44 different presidents. I could just look at the assigned, or I should say the declaration statement for the array, and it's going to tell me how many storage locations you're going to have for that array. So dim ages, you got 43, tells me that there are 44 values that are going to be in it. So in this case here, it tells you, and it looks for the youngest president. Okay? And I think we all know the youngest president was, who was it? I think it was John Kennedy, 42 years old. Okay? All right. Okay. So, as we continue, we can see a couple of ways of how to use some of the, how we can calculate with an array. I can use some of the values discussed above can also be used to calculate with the array, all right? If you look at the for next loop, I can use the array to store data. I can store, like, I can accumulate a value in an array, all right? Every single time the array is used in a loop, I can fill values into that array, okay? You can assign values into the array too. That's another way to do it, okay? After an array has been declared, its size but not its type can be changed with a, all right, this is important, redefine the dim statement. After an array has been declared, its size but not its type can be changed with a statement of the form redim. All right, redeclare. I'm just redeclaring it. Okay. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that. We're not gonna use that much. Okay. We're not gonna use that period, so I shouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry about it. Okay. And we're not gonna use the passing the procedure to array. We're gonna do something simple. All right, let's just take a look here at what we have, and we could possibly set it up. Okay, let me go to Sakai, in Sakai, and we go to assignments. And I have only up to project 8, so I'm going to do project 9, 10, and then I'll come back again next week. And next week we're going to take a look at, we're going to redo these projects to make sure that everybody is understanding what's going on and that we can start submitting the projects. It's crucial that you start doing it now. Okay, so if I were to go to the text, in the text, on page, let's see, on page 341, project 1-1. Let's go to page 341. 341 plus 25 is 365. Okay, couple of things. This is the way that we read. Key thing right here. I want to know this. If for each loop repeats a group of statements for each element in the array, right? Got to remember that. A split method converts, I wouldn't worry about that. All right. So, what did they want us to do? This is the project number 1. Remember we did a conversion before in chapter 3. All right. This is going to be a little more elaborate in terms of what we do. Table 7.1 contains some links in terms of feet. Write a program that displayed the 9 different units of measure. Request the unit to convert from, the unit to convert to, and the quantity to be converted. And then display the converted quantity. A typical outcome is shown in figure 7.37 on the next page. Okay. Let's highlight that too. And here's the conversion. Okay. So in this case here, the length to convert is 2. Original units is 7 is a max. If I have 2 miles, what do I want to do? How many feet do we have in 3 miles? Okay. Well, I think 1 mile has 5280 feet. So if I went to my calculator, or since I have Excel up and open, I can go equals 5280 star 3, and what do I get? 15840? Is that it? Okay, I'm going from what? 2 is what? Oh, fathom. No, 7. 7 is a mile. Oh, it's 2 miles. So I messed up over here, so I should change this to 2. And my answer is 10,560. That's what I'm supposed to get, 10,560. Okay? So let's just see how we can do this. Good old Visual Basic. Okay, and I'm going to go to New Project. And I'm going to call this Project 8. And what's the name of it? Chapter 7, unit conversion. Okay, bingo. So let's just see what we have here. I'm going to create a form, and the form is going to be, let's take a look here. The form, first of all, I'm going to call it convert. FRMCONVERT. And I'm going to have this form on here. The text on the form is going to be unit conversion. And my size is going to be, I'm going to change the size to 322. Let's call the width 322. And the height is going to be 171. And I'm going to say save all. Okay. Now, what do I have on there? If we go back to the text and we look at this, this is a list box. Text box, text box, text box, text box at the bottom here. Label, 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 the ones I'm pointing to, and the button. The button says convert. So let's go add a text box, a list box. Take that list box and we're going to plant it right here. Okay. And then I'm going to say label. Put a label right there. And we're going to have a text box. It's a text box. So although this is chapter 7, you're going to notice that in terms of the form that you're going to create is pretty much the same, right? This list box I'm going to call unit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to name this list box unit. So it's going to be LSTUNIT. Okay. And this label, I'm going to call this label LBL length. Okay. And what's going to be the text on the length? The text is going to be, where's my text? Text. Here you go, text. And what text am I going to have? Length to convert, colon, LEN-GTH. Press enter. And this text box is going to be called, this is going to have a name, and we're going to call that TXT LENGTH. Okay? Bingo. So I have to have 3 more labels. So I'll say Control C, oops. I'll select it and say Control C, then I'll Control V to paste it. Line it up here. Control V again to paste it. Line that one up here. Okay. So I can move up a bit. Then I'm going to put my button. And my button is going to be this big. Okay. And then I'll put the desired length which is going to be I'll put Control V over here, put that down here. And then I'll put a text box here, Control C, Control V, and this text box is going to be a bit smaller. Okay? Control C, Control V. And then I'll take this one, Control C, Control V, and I'm putting that right here. So there we go. We've got the makeup of what looks like in the text. Okay, this one we have a name, that we have a name, length. This one should be original units. So I'm going to call that LBL O units. And what should it say on there? The text should say the following. It should say original units. It's going to say 1-8. 1-8. Take a look real quick. Oh, 1-9. (1-9) close parentheses. And this one here is going to be TXT O units. This is going to be desired units. (1-9). And we're going to call that, what name did I give this label? We're going to call that LBLT units, desired units. Okay. Aha. Why did I give this text box a name? There should be no text box here. There should be no name here. It's in the wrong place. Control X. It should be under the name. Okay. What's this guy? This guy has no name, so we're going to call that TXT D units. Does that say 1-9 too? Yes, it does. Let's see the button. We're going to call that button. Let's see what we should call that button. What's a good name? It should be display. convert. That button is going to be called convert. BTN And what does it say on there? It says convert. Good old convert. I guess they all say that, right? Okay. This one is the desired length. Nope. Yes, desired length. DSIRED space that. Okay. And I'm going to give this LBLT length. And this is TXT T length. Okay. So here we have it. We have the making of our form. This is what our form looks like. Now we have to create code to basically run this project or to perform the tasks that are required. Okay? So I'm gonna always add my code by double clicking or simply clicking here and say view code, but I'm going to always do it on the button. Okay? So it says button convert. Okay? So they want us to use, okay, what would they want us to use? They want us to use we could use procedures. I'll show you that. We did procedures before. We could use a subroutine, right, to perform certain tasks like the conversions, right? So let's declare our variables, right? First, we need to declare, I'm going to put comments, declare variables. Okay. And everything is going to be converted. If you look at what's unique about this question is that table contains a write a program displays the different units of measure. Request the unit to convert from, the unit to convert to, and the quantity to then display the converted quantity. All right? So if you notice, everything here is in feet. So we can go from, we have to know the values associated with feet. All right? Each value is assigned in feet. Okay? So I'm going to have to create a variable for the unit name. That's a hint right there. I'm going to declare a variable for or I should say array variable, the unit name, unit in feet, declare, I'm going to declare a variable for the number of units. As you can see in this case here, it's 9. And then I'm going to declare what I want you to do is to put this in a file. Okay? So we're going to put it in a file, and the name of the file is going to be called unit.txt. So unit.txt. I can simply go to File, I'm going to say Notepad. Yeah, that's Notepad right here. And I'll create a file, and what are going to be the units? In this case here, the units are number 1 is what? Jeez. So the first one is going to be inch. Then press the Enter key. Fathom, fathom. F-A-R, fathom, fathom. Okay, foot, number 3. Furlong, number 4. Kilometer. Number 5, meter. Number 6, mile. Number 7, rod. Number 8, yard. Number 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. And then I'm going to say File, Save As. Okay. And we are going to call that units, the text. And where do I want to put this? Well, I'm going to put this in a folder just to be on the safe side. I'm going to put it under the folder desktop. And I'm going to do project 8. Where's project 8? Project 9. Project 9 is right here. Forgot to change it. Visual Studio 2010 projects. And where's project number 9? It should say project what? No, it should be under here. What's the name of our project? Project 8, Chapter 7. This should be Project 9, Chapter 7. Shouldn't be Project 8. Okay, let's rename this. I'm going to rename it. Rename Project 9. Okay. How am I going to rename this? I'm going to click on File, Save As. Project 9. Right. I've got to find a way to change this. I know I can change this. There we go. So, projects, that's why I'm going to save it. Okay. All right, I can't find that. Let me see. I'll have to go look it up. Where's the text editor? Tools. I'm looking here for the text editor. Where is the text editor? Okay. Just give me a minute to find the text editor.
This conference will now be recorded.
So after a bit of a search, what we need to do is once we create this file, okay, units.txt, I'm going to put that in the folder. I got to save that in the folder, but I don't know what folder I want to save it in. So I'm going to go to here, which was Visual Basic, And I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this. Okay, let's go open up Visual Basic and go with the last project that we were working on. Let's see, open project. And I want to go to the desktop. Let's see if we go here, it should say Project 8, Chapter 7 Unit Conversion. Okay, so I want to save this file under Project 8, under the bin folder and the debug, and I'm going to save it right here. That's where I save it, under the bin debug folder. Okay, now, so I have that. That was given to you. That's going to be given to you. I gave that to you. Let's get back to where we were with the, I'm going to give you this statement. This is the actual statement that you're going to type if you're doing this program. You're going to say dim units, okay, which is the array, as string, tab, st as string. I'm going to go down to string, equals to, and it's going to be the name of the file. You have to type it exactly the way it is. IO dot file dot read all lines. Read all lines. Tab units parentheses double quotes units dot txt close parentheses, close double quotes, close parentheses. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here, after that, we're going to create a subroutine. Subroutine procedure to load the conversions into array. Okay. So that's going to have a private, right? Then we're going to have the lines of code. And then we're going to have end sub right here. So that's for this code right here. And I'll put here enter lines of code between these lines. Okay? Okay, alrighty. Well, all this is going to be done. I'm taking all this and I'm putting it prior. Okay? And this program right here, this is going to be the program, that's what you double click on. And this program to convert units of measure. So you have to use an if statement. Okay, you're gonna use a procedure, right? And I'm gonna say enter code here. Okay, we're gonna have this is a procedure. This is where we do it. We're gonna use a procedure here called subroutine procedure again. Copy this code. Subroutine procedure to input source, destination, and length. Okay? Again, it's going to say subroutine okay, and it's going to have an end sub. And lastly, we're going to have another subroutine procedure. And this perform the conversion. It's also going to display the results. Okay? So, it's a little intensive. It may take some time, but the structure is there. We need to be able to understand what some of these what the code is. Most of the code are basically what you have learned already in the first 6 chapters. Okay? Okay? Take a look. If we go back, let's go back to the form, right? We have to take into consideration that the length is going to be here in the example they give you. It's going to be 2. Then we're going to choose 7, and the desired unit was, I think, 3 or so. All right, and then you have to do a conversion. When you click on the button, you're going to do a conversion. So all that stuff is inputted here. So you're going to have a variable. I call these variables, if you look at it. This one I call it length. This one I call it desired units. Okay, and this one was original unit. This one is desired units, and this is desired length. Okay, so the desired length is going to be printed in this box. Okay, I think if you follow the text, if you look at some of these recordings that I have given you, you should get a pretty good idea. All right? If you have any questions, any concerning these particular projects, please do not hesitate to call me. I have submitted an email to everyone via Sakai. From now until the end of the semester, please reply to the email so that you can get credit. It is going to show that you have participated and that you have entered just for viewing purposes or whatever purposes. You've came into Sakai and you are participating. You need to reply to me 3 times a week, not once, but 3 times. You don't reply 1 week on the same day to 3 different emails.